Hello, welcome to Breaking It All Down. I'm Count Zero. This week, I have another book review for you, since last week was a video game review. I do want to apologize first for the delay in this review. Frankly, I had a midterm last week, rather over the weekend, so that kind of messed up my whole schedule. Sorry about that. I should be able to be on schedule for future reviews up until we get to finals. Anyway, with that out of the way, the book. This week, I'm reviewing The Ruby Knight by David Eddings. This is the second book of the Elenium trilogy. The first one I reviewed previously, The Diamond Throne, and I kind of liked it. It was a decent fantasy novel. Its main problems were basically that there were a lot of characters introduced, they weren't given a lot of screen time, they weren't fleshed out much, and they didn't do much, and that was kind of disappointing. Otherwise, it was a decent book. It was very much less like the Tolkien ripoff that the Belgariad, Eddings' earlier series, was accused of being. This felt much different, and it worked much better. That said, The Ruby Knight definitely gets more into the sort of Tolkien ripoff mode. Sort of. If I describe it as anything, this would be much more along the lines of The Lord of the Rings meets the Quest for the Holy Grail. I don't mean Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail, I mean Arthurian legend. I mean Mallory's Le Morte d'Arthur. Yes, I apologize for mangling the French there. If someone wants to post the phonetic pronunciation in the comments, I would not complain. So, what do you think about this book? It was alright. We did get a lot more screen time, or rather page time, for the various characters, and they got fleshed out more. They do fit mainly into the general tone of the Grail Knights. In particular, one of them, the more naive Sir Bevier, who's a much younger, less worldly knight, definitely fits very much into the Sir Galahad mode. He's young, he's inexperienced, not just in terms of, you know, sex and everything relating to it and women, but also just in terms of he's idealistic. And he kind of expects the world somewhat to fit with his idealistic perspectives. It fits with how I've always felt Sir Galahad, at least initially, depicted as. He is not cynical. He's somewhat idealistic. And when bad things are uncovered in the world, in terms of the corruption of the various political forces, the poisoning of the Queen, he wants to fix it as soon as possible. And it worked. And so this works with his characters here. Others, Sir Kurik. I'm not going to go for direct allegory as far as which knights are which among the Grail Knights, but I see characters who are going, okay, this one's kind of feels like he's close to Sir Bors. This one feels like he's kind of close to Sir Lancelot. This one feels like he's kind of close to Arthur himself. That sort of thing. Or at least, not so much Arthur himself, but I'm seeing connections with the Grail Knights. And it works. That said, the Tolkien elements are definitely here. Gwarig, the troll, the dwarf troll, which is a bit of an oxymoron because a dwarf troll is about the size of a cave troll, but actually about the size of a cave troll, about as deformed as a cave troll, or at least ugly looking as a cave troll. But it's smaller than standard trolls. But Gwerig is an interesting character, as he's written, and he's a Gollum character. He is very much fit in the mode of Gollum. He is a creature seeking that which was stolen from him through trickery, which happens to be an artifact of great power. It's just the difference is, for Gollum, it is a ring, an otherwise ordinary-looking ring, whereas for Gwerig, it is a gemstone cut to look like a rose. One thing is very clearly meant to be bland-looking. I mean, the One Ring, it's a plain band. It is something which if it were not, the One Ring, you would see in basically not even a jewelry store. It doesn't even necessarily look like it's gold, almost as much as brass. And you might even see it in some sort of, not really a crackerjack, but it's a very basic looking thing. But again, on the other hand here, it's a gemstone. It's a extremely beautiful, faceted gemstone. It is something that, even if it didn't have magical power, people would want. Badly. So, there's that. We also get introduced to sort of a ring wraith-esque being here, which is basically, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like the ring wraiths in that it's hunched over, it's got a cloak over itself, and rides on horseback and has great power. But on the other hand, it's like part bug. And basically, when it's... yeah, basically it's part bug. It's like David Cronenberg's The Fly meets the Ring Wraiths, is the best way to describe it, sort of. It's an interesting enemy for the main characters. It works well, it's fun and antagonistic, but on the other hand, I mean, it's taking the book much, much more into the realm of standard Tolkien knockoff number 47, which is kind of unfortunate. That said, it is an enjoyable book. It's nothing special. This won't reinvent the fantasy literature field. It doesn't reinvent the fantasy literature field. But I can't say that it's bad. It's just decent. It's not fantastic. It's not terrible. It's not even mediocre. It's good. And I know this doesn't make for an interesting review when you review a book or a movie or something and it's just okay. You can't rip it a new one. Well, there's not much to rip. There aren't any major plot holes thus far. If I was to give any major complaint about this, is the book seems like it's running into a series of vignettes. It's the main characters receive a clue which take them to the next town. Something happens in that town which they have to take some sort of action for. Could be a monster they have to fight. It could be that the forces of the enemy sneak up on them. They have to fight them or evade them. It could be they have to use some trickery to get out of town. Something. And then they proceed on to the next town. I'd compare this structurally to Michael Moorcock's Elric series. Not because they're, in terms of quality, similar. They're not. The Elric series is far superior. But the Elric series was originally a bunch of novellas and short stories from various science fiction and fantasy magazines that were then compiled into the books. It's the same sort of thing with Conan as well. But with this is all written as a novel in the first place. This is all intended to be a novel to begin with. And so this sort of episodic structure in a novel feels weird. I mean, unless we pick up and read a chunk for a while and then put it down very easily. But it doesn't quite seem to fit right for a novel, as at least to me. So, now, basically my verdict, do I recommend this? If you liked the first book, yeah, go ahead and continue with it. It's not a terrible series. I would not say that it's as bad as, or it's okay. The characters are interesting and fleshed out. They're not your standard fantasy fare. We're dealing with a bunch instead of a farm boy and his group of companions that he puts together. It's a bunch of experienced warriors. And that's a nice tone. It's rare to see a fantasy story which takes a cue from not only the Lord of the Rings, but also the King Arthur legends, but without going full-on Arthurian lore in the Mists of Avalon or various other Arthur knockoff sense. Check it out. You may be pleasantly surprised. Next review, hopefully, knock on wood, will be my Gears of War review, or the Gears of War 2 review. I need to finish downloading the gameplay video for that and get that edited together and scripted and so forth, and I'll have that. For my next book, I am slowly working my way through the book Black Blade by Eric Lustberger, who is currently the guy in charge of the future of the Bourne novels. Be afraid, be very afraid, because this is a book written in the early 90s involving Japan and ninjas. This one's gonna suck. Until next time, I'm Count Zero. Thanks for watching.